All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are out here at Sand Hollow today doing a little bit of wheeling and a little filming stuff. I've been wanting to do this video for a minute. This video is something that I've been trying to think of a way to do it that's not just the same boring way everybody else does it. We're going to talk about gear today. We're going to go through this car and tell you exactly what I have front to back and how I use it, why I have it. Before we do that, make sure you subscribe, share, like this video. Let's get after it. Most gear review videos or most like outfitting videos that I see for how something is set up, whether it's Jeep World side by side, you know, there's these 5 accessories that you think you should have. They're all kind of boring. They just kind of list out like, this is what I use, this is what you need, this is what you need. I'm going to start with you with my car as it sits, as I drive it every single day out here. We're going to start at the front and we're going to work all the way to the back. And I'm going to tell you, this is what I've added. This is the bit of accessories I've had. And this is why I've done it. I think that that's going to give you a little bit better perspective on your use case for some of these things, rather than just sitting at a table and telling you, I have these 6 things. They're great, whatever. So we're going to start at the front. We'll start at the winch and we'll end up all the way back here going through the pack out stuff that I have. And that will tell you exactly how I've set up this car for Sand Hollow. Okay, before we get through that, I want you to know this isn't exactly a completely exhaustive list, right? If you have different riding conditions, if you have, you know, different areas you ride in, your setup might need to be modified from what mine is. I ride specifically in southern Utah. I ride other places, but the majority of what I do is out here at Sand Hollow. So you'll notice that a lot of what my setup includes is tailored towards that. I do add other things onto this if I'm going hunting, if I'm up in the mountains doing stuff where I'm further away from people, but just know this isn't a completely exhaustive list for your entire setup. You're gonna have to do some testing and figuring it out on your own of what you need. And honestly, sometimes that's gonna end up needing you to break down and figure out, oh shoot, I needed this piece, I should carry that. For me, where we're at, Sand Hollow, pretty close to everything, pretty accessible, always have service. I carry a little bit lighter kit than most people. All right, without further ado, let's jump to the front and see what our first item is. All right, before we go fully through this, I wanna know what your guys' setup is and how it compares to mine. Like I said, my kit is built out. It works really well for what I'm doing out here at Sand Hollow and the surrounding area. But if you think I'm missing something super important, or if you think, why are you carrying that? That's dumb. You're just adding weight to your car. Drop a comment and let me know as we're going through. And let's see how we compare. Okay, one of the first things you're gonna need if you're really getting serious into off-roading and you have your UTV and you're starting to set it up, deck it out, get whatever you need, you're really gonna need a winch and a winch bumper. This isn't overly used, I'll put it that way. I don't use mine a lot, but when I use it, it is very important that I have it. This can help with self-recovery. This can help with recovering other people. Being able to get out of a tight spot is kind of paramount. So on my car, I have a Ghillie Fab bumper. Unfortunately, these guys aren't in business anymore. This is a really rad bumper and I like it a lot and I wish they still were around, but they're not. And then behind that, I have a Black Ops 6000 UTV winch. As you can see, it's got the smaller line. It's not a full 1/2 inch line. And then I've just got a hard shackle on the end here instead of a hook. That's the winch. You need one of those if you're getting serious about off-roading. Let's keep moving further down the car. Moving down the car, we come to the tires. We have the Coyote ITPs. Now these tires were originally offered from the factory on the Turbo S models, but I like them a lot. They hook up really well in a lot of different terrain. And so I bought a set of 35s for my Turbo R when my Rampages wore out. That's the next thing I have done to these. If you are gonna get serious in the rocks, you probably need bigger tires. I would say 35s is a minimum. Seems like right now, 37s is about the standard that people are shooting for, but you need a full gear reduction for that, especially in a Turbo R. I don't know about the other cars, but when you start getting into 37s, they get heavy. These 35s are heavy, but the stock clutching in these will do it. Okay, the next accessory I've added to this is this RPM style vent All this does really is lets colder outside air into the cabin, just helps with air circulation. That's actually a really nice creature comfort thing, but you're not gonna get stuck without it. Okay, we're gonna keep moving right along. Now that we've passed that, we're coming up to right here on this A-pillar. So these are the Chupacabra Cuero mirrors with rigid LED pods on them. Okay, you don't necessarily need these, but these are a really good creature comfort to have. The lights themselves, I would argue, are necessary if you drive at night. If you're not driving at night that often, the stock headlights will work. But if you're trying to drive at night, especially if you're trying to carry any speed at night, good lighting is very important. You'll want to upgrade that. It doesn't have to be rigid. There's some good Amazon stuff, but you'll want some lighting. Okay, that takes me into something you do want, no matter what. This is gonna pain some people if I say it, and realistically, I understand, okay? It pained me when I said it first. You go buy a $35,000 car and you need to go spend $3,000 on a cage. You just do. Safety-wise, there's nothing you can do better than beefing up your cage. I wholeheartedly recommend Voodoo. They're local here in St. George. Honestly, I've seen those cages just get absolutely mollywopped and just keep on ticking. But that's something that's incredibly important. Your factory cage, while it seems beefy, is going to crumple on the first hit. It's just gonna do it. You need to upgrade your cage. You need to stay safe. You need to keep everybody in with you safe. Okay, let's move into the front cab of the car. We'll start over here. Door bags. I carry door bags. I have door bags just because I like carrying extra crap. Well, I don't really have extra crap in here at the moment, but when I do have my family with me or when I'm out there, I put my phone, stuff like that. It's nice to just have a little extra storage space and it doesn't take up too much space or weight on the car. Okay, moving into the cab, let's just start on the glove box, see what we got. Oh, this is the most important thing you could possibly have. If you don't have TP for out on the trail, you're gonna have a problem, like a real big problem. We have some bathrooms out here at Sand Hollow and that makes, things a lot easier, but sometimes you just need the TP when you need the TP. Outside of that, in here, the other bit of gear, everything else is just manuals, to be honest. But I have a fire extinguisher. I actually have two fire extinguishers. I have this Element because this is somewhat close and in reach. And then on the back, I have a regular, ABC fire extinguisher, liquid, whatever, not a gas-based one. Fire extinguisher is incredibly important as well. I would love to say that I've never seen razors burn down, but I've seen a lot of razors and UTVs that are charred out, and that's no bueno. So make sure you get a fire extinguisher as well. Let's move on. Let's check out our center console. Anything in here? I don't actually have anything in here important. I have some spare fuses. I have a winch controller. I have an extra light and an RC battery charger. None of that's really geared, just stuff I have. Okay, one thing I would recommend, if you don't have Ride Command, or even if you do, I would recommend getting some sort of tablet and nav system. I use just a regular tablet with OnX, and this has honestly been significantly more up to date than the Ride Command in the Polaris that my dad has. I don't have any issues with the Ride Command, but OnX is better for sure. I will show you how I power this, how I run it. It's run off of a USB-C right here, and then it's got a FastLab mount, and then I use data from my Starlink setup, which I'll show you in a second, to basically have the most up-to-date stuff I can. Okay, is there anything else up here? Nope, just a kid seat, but that's not really part of the gear list, especially if you don't have kids. Okay, let's move to the back. I lied. Okay, one huge piece of equipment that you will want is to have some Cardo Edgephones. Communication in a noisy side-by-side is really important, especially if you're riding with other people and you need to communicate about trails, turns, where to go, anything like that. Get yourself a good set of comms, get Cardos. They're all wireless. They're just really phenomenal, to be honest. Of all of the pieces of equipment and things that I've done to this car, I would say those are second in priority only to the cage. That's it. I would do cage and then Cardos. That's That's what I would do if I had to pick like only 2 things out of this list. They're super awesome. Listen to your own music. Obviously I work with them, but I've had them since before I worked with them. They are really great. Okay, let's move to the back now. Okay, in the back, I have my soft shackles for the winch for recovery. I don't actually have a lot back here, but the things I do have are pretty important. So I have the soft shackles. I have 2 of them, just in case I need to make multi-point connections or anything like that. I also have door bags for people back here. And then the important piece, the real important piece of what I have back here are these. So if you have a UTV with a drive belt, you need to carry spare belts. You'll need to change them at some point, I promise you. I obviously shrink wrap mine, but you don't have to do that. Just make sure you have a spare belt or 2. I have 2, I can give 1 away. One's used, one's new, but you need to be able to basically self-recover from a belt failure if and when it happens. Okay, the next thing I have back here, UTV AMA seat. This is not a need to have item. This is a good to have item. Honestly, just a fold out seat, somewhere nice to relax when you're stopping, taking a break on the trail, but nice to have, not need to have. We are done with the interior of the car. Now we're gonna go to the back. We're gonna look at all the things in my pack out, and this is where I keep most of my tooling, most of that type of kit. So let's go check it out. All right, before we tear everything open, I'm gonna kind of walk you through the setup here for a pack out. I have an AJK pack out base plate down in here that obviously allows 3 half box mounts. So how I have this set up is I have my cooler here at the very back. I have my Starlink set up here, and then I have tools and things underneath in these lower boxes here. We'll pull this all apart and we'll take a look at it, and I'll show you what's in each of these boxes and how I carry it and why I carry stuff like that. Okay, let's start with the Starlink. This is a Starlink setup that I use out here. Remember I talked about having Onyx connected to service all the time? This is a Starlink kit I built. I have a video on it. You can check it out. This thing will run off a Milwaukee battery. It has a set of cooling fans that are triggered by a heat thermocouple down here. And it will also run off of a hardline direct feed 12 volt. I have my machine wired for this. As you can tell, this is my first prototype. Missed the hole up a little bit. It's all good. But this thing is why I actually am okay running a little bit light on all my equipment, because I know I can always contact someone, and at most I'll just be out a little bit of time. I won't be stuck dying in the woods somewhere. It's mostly, oh, if I can get in reach with my wife, something like that, someone can come help me. So that's the Starlink setup. Okay, let's pull out the next stuff. All right, next up, cooler. And this is why I like the pack out stuff so much. It's just so modular. I know there's much more nice looking trunks. There's much more aesthetic things you can do back here, but the pack outs are so organized, just so efficient for getting to what you need. So we have the cooler. That's pretty self-explanatory. Drinks, snacks, things like that. If you're going on a ride, you need some way to carry good snacks, good food, stuff like that. You don't want to just be stuck out here with no snacks, no food. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so these 2 boxes kind of serve the same purpose. These are both tooling boxes. So what does that mean? That means this is, you know, tools, bits of stuff, parts, things like that. Okay, we'll start, it doesn't really matter. We'll start with this one, actually. All right, let's go through this box and show you what we got. Okay. So this is what came out of this box, and this is what I carry here. If you'll notice, I don't have a spare tire on the car. I actually opt for carrying a compressor and a plug kit. This is an Eaton Wolf S7 heavy duty compressor. You can go check out my video on this if you want. Really, really rad. It'll fill one of these tires up from 0 PSI to, I think I run 12 PSI in about 3 minutes. So you can do the whole car in probably 15. But if I have something bigger that I can't handle with plugs or my glue tread that's in the other stuff, I will be going Starlink. I will be calling somebody. I'll be getting out that way. Okay, what else we have in this box? I carry a small Milwaukee impact or a nut driver. I carry tool bits. I carry a couple of Milwaukee batteries. These are for obviously the impact, but also to power the Starlink if I need it. For some reason, the battery on the car is dead. We can power the Starlink off the Milwaukee batteries and get at least a good signal out to say, this is where I'm at, come get me. I also carry a bunch of spare nuts and bolts, things like that I might need, and a crescent wrench. That's the other thing in this box. Okay, let me jump into the next box and we'll see what else we have. Okay, jumping into the next box, this is what we're carrying here. This is a little bit more tools, a little bit more recovery equipment, stuff like that. Okay, we have a 3/8 ratchet, a couple extensions. We have a spark plug socket, just in case. We have a pin. This actually goes with this guy, which is a recovery point for our Fast Lab hitch/recovery point. I also carry a couple spare spark plugs and a socket big enough for the lug nuts on these cars. The spark plugs, with fuel injected stuff, it's not really as critical, but I don't want to get into a point where a spark plug's fouled and I can't get back off the trail without that. Okay, beyond that, to go with my 3/8 drive, I carry a small set of metric sockets, 6-point sockets, and that's been able to get me by for everything I've needed so far, repair-wise. Okay, also, super critical piece of equipment. Don't go anywhere without having one of these. You need to have a first aid kit. This one came from Costco, and honestly, it's been great. Okay, moving on to some other stuff. I also carry a recovery shovel. I carry a set of jumper cables. These also work off a Milwaukee battery. I will say this is not as good as I would expect it to be. I expected that to be a really good jump starting device with, you know, an M18 18-volt battery, but it just doesn't do so good. So I also usually carry a Eaton Wolf J1 Helios. That is a really good jumper box, and it's, I don't know, it's significantly better than the M18. I'm really disappointed in the M18. I don't actually have that in this car right now, but that's only because I had to jump start my wife's car last night, so I left it out, but that would be in here normally. Okay, I also have a spill cleanup kit. This, if you know, spill oil everywhere, clean it up, get off the rocks, be a little bit more environmentally conscious. And I carry glue tread as well. If you haven't seen this stuff, I have a tire back home that's been patched with this for the last 8 months, and it's held there and it's great. Basically, sidewall gashes can be taken care of with this, where my plug kit is better for things in the middle of the tread. Beyond that, a little bit more recovery equipment, just a recovery ring. I don't know, it's used for if I have to make a double line pull, something like that. I will say, this is Amazon. This is not like a very highly high quality American made something or other. Neither is my actual soft shackle mount for the Fast Lab hitch. The Fast Lab hitch is US made. That's a really incredible product. But here's my thought. I have a 2,000 pound side-by-side, and this is rated for 3,300 pounds. If it's not super high quality, it would have to be really, really, really terrible quality to mess up pulling my 2,000 pound razor. And I know force multiplication and things like that, it's not just 2,000 pounds, but I'm saying highly overrated on the rating for what I'm using it for. And that's why I'm comfortable using these Amazon products for this type of stuff. Okay, what's not an Amazon product? And the last bit of gear for the recovery and gear side is I have a Yankum rope in here. This is their Sidewinder series, and I carry it because sometimes you have to recover people. I've pulled people out of the sand, pulled people out of the mud, and it is a very good piece of equipment, and it comes with me no matter what. Like I say, it sits under that AJK plate and rides right there. Okay, that about wraps up all of I've got on the car. The last thing I already, kind of touched on, got a fire extinguisher here. Make sure you have one. These things aren't unknown for blowing up and going into flame, and you don't want to be a charred little brisket in your side-by-side. All that said, what am I missing here? What do you think that I should have that I don't? Or what do I have that you're like, why do you carry that? That will never be used. Drop a comment, let me know. I just want to know, how else do you think you should set this up? This is how I set it up. This is my gear. This is what has worked for me for the last 3 years. But let's hear what you've got. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.